out here filming a TBR video for the third time. Look, all I'm going to say is never work with animals or technology or Scottish lighting or me, apparently. Hi guys, it's Leanne and welcome back for a February TBR. We have almost made it through the January blues. We are nearly at the end of the worst month of the year. I mean, technically the worst month for me is any month that isn't October, but you know, work with me here. As you can tell by the abject chaos in here, January went wonderfully for me. I read a bunch of stuff, I pulled a bunch of stuff off my shelves, and I looked at the gargantuan task that rearranging them would be and went, nah mate. Nah. So that's just still ahead of me and thus ahead of you. You will see it at some point in February. Let's just talk very quickly about Year of Readathons Part 1. So many of you guys joined in and tagged me on social media. Thank you so much for your support. If you're new here or you missed my January TBR, I came up with a challenge for myself in 2021, which was to de-stress myself and to just set myself little readathons for every month with just a different theme. No more than 5 books, really easy to win, and without, you know, bingo boards and badges and everything else that like stresses me out about normal readathons. You know, the things that other people find fun about readathons. Those things. I literally never imagined that so many of you would join in, so thank you so much if you are coming on this journey with me. Here were our prompts for January. We picked books based on randomly generated colours. You will find out what I thought about those books in my tops and bottoms video coming to you very soon. But in the meantime, it is time for the February version, part 2 de Zwei. I don't know any other languages. The second month of the year. I figure that part of the fun of these mini readathons is that I get to gamify my reading and I get prompts to choose for me what I'm picking off of my shelves. And I think that was something that you guys liked about the first challenge as well. So in light of that, I have 5 prompts that are all about love. And when I say love, I don't mean romantic love, I mean self-love. And not that kind of self-love, or at least, you know, not right now. The prompts that I've picked for February are all about stuff that you love that should already be on your shelves. We are going to pick 5 random genres that I want to read from in February, and we are going to number them 1 to 5. Then, using the 5 prompts that I'm about to give you, we are going to use a random number generator to pick the genre for each prompt, and I'm going to go and scavenge my shelves and my floor and my plant stand and my hall and a cupboard, all of the places that I have pulled books off of my shelves for rearranging purposes. You know when you commit to something out loud and then you immediately regret it but can't take it back? Okay, so let's talk about the 5 genres that I am going to pick from. First of all, I'm going to pick thriller because I figure that's an easy win. I have a lot of unread thrillers. Next up, I'm going to pick fantasy because I have been quite neglectful of my fantasy books in the last year or so. I used to read at least 40% fantasy in my reading, and for some reason last year that just didn't work for my brain. Another thing that 2020 sucked for. Next up, I am going to pick horror because I picked up quite a few new horror books towards the end of last year, and I definitely have several of them that I should probably stop talking about and actually try picking up. Next up, I think I'm going to go for contemporary fiction, whether that's YA or adult, because I have quite a lot of that is built up in my collection during like the buying spree that happened at the end of 2020, and I think it would be fun to dig into it. And finally, let's give an easy win for me, something that I almost always enjoy. Let's go for middle grade. Alright, now that we've got genres out of the way, let's talk about the prompts. The first prompt that I've got should be a really super easy one for all of us, and it is a book with a cover that you absolutely love. And I don't just mean like a little bit love, like, oh yeah, that's a nice cover. I mean a book with a cover that you adore, that you like want to spread on toast and consume. You would like the essence of it to become part of you. Next up, I have got a book that someone you loves. So whether that is your parent, your best friend, or a favourite booktuber, a book that you own because somebody that you love recommended it or gave it to you and you are dying to pick it up. Next up, I've got a juicy one that I think everybody's going to enjoy, and that is a trope that you love. So like, I love haunted houses, romances, and I love found family, and you guys know I shouldn't have to list all of them at this point. I'm sure in a game of Leanne Loves This Trope Bingo you guys would win. Next up, I have got a series that you love. So, you may be an overachieving monster and not have any series actively on the go on your shelves. You may be caught up to everything, in which case, well done and I hate you. But most probably, if you're a genre reader of any kind, you're like me, and there's at least one series on your shelves that you're at least one book behind on. And you know, if you're not, pick up the start of a new series, because I'm nothing if not an enabler. And finally, I've got another fun one that I'm looking very forward to, and it is a spine that you love. We're constantly talking about our book covers, but realistically, when I'm sitting here, all you're seeing is the book spines. They're the things that when we walked into a bookstore in the days where we could do that, long may they rest, that drew us initially to a book. Whether it's colour or style or foiling, I know you've got at least one spine on your shelves that you walk past every now and again and give it a little pet. Don't lie, I know you do it because I also do it. Petting order in this house goes Lovely Wife Helen, Animals, Plants, Books. Okay, so now that we have both of our lists, let us torture ourselves further. Let us put ourselves in the hands of a random number generator once again, because we all know that that's my very favourite fun thing to do. I definitely feel the requirement for sleeve rolling in this part, don't you? We shall once again enlist the help of Poirot and Miss Marple, because who better to help us find books on our shelves? Okay, let's go. Okay, we got number 4. Number 4 is contemporary, so we have to find a book cover that I love that is a contemporary book. There are rather a lot of those behind me and on my floor, so I don't think that's going to be a problem. There are also about to be 3 very unamused and confused kittens on my floor. There is one in there somewhere. Okay, I admit I was a little bit indecisive about this one and I went back to my shelves several times. I think it's just because out of all of the contemporary books that I personally own, they all have really beautiful covers, and I guess that's because YA contemporary gets a lot of money poured into it by publishers. So they're all kind of really pleasing to the eye and ended up being a lot to choose from. I have ended up with yet another Alice Oseman. This is Loveless by Alice Oseman, and I love these covers. I'm sure all of you guys know by this point, but Alice Oseman is also an illustrator, not just a writer. She illustrated the Heartstopper graphic novels, which are kind of like companions to her novel Solitaire. I ended up in a big Alice Oseman deep dive in January, guys. You've got all of that coming to you, and I really want to just carry on and read everything that she has ever written, so this one seems like a perfect pick. This is about Georgia. She has never been in love with anybody, she's never kissed anybody, she's never had any kind of intimate contact with anybody. But she's a geek, she's fanfic obsessed, and so she's absolutely positive that when she goes to university she's going to meet loads of like-minded people. But what she actually discovers when she gets there is university is a little bit less about finding your people and a little bit more about which people you are dating. And amongst all of this, Georgia decides that she should also start looking for her perfect love, but she stumbles on some terms that she had never heard before: asexual and aromantic, and they take her on a whole journey that she did not see coming. The actual breadth of diversity and representation in Alice Oseman's work is just I love it so much. I can't believe I'm coming to it so late, but I'm glad that I'm here. Okay, so the next prompt that we have here is a book that someone you loves. Let's see what we get. We got number 2. That is the fantasy genre, and I can tell you right now that that's not going to be a hard one for me. I don't think I found any fantasy randomly last year. I think all of it was hand curated by my favourite book people. Onwards! Okay, it turns out that there's actually so many books on my floor right now that there was no safe way for me to show you me getting to the books on my fantasy shelves. But it turns out that it didn't actually take that long for me to pick this one either, just like, you know, acrobatics to actually reach it. This is A Curse So Dark and Lonely by Brigid Kemmerer. It is a Beauty and the Beast fantasy retelling in the YA fantasy genre, and it is most beloved of Jean from Jean's Bookish Thoughts and Victoria from What Victoria Read. In fact, Victoria just this week was very distressed that the third book in this series had not yet landed on her doorstep. Unlike other books that come into my house, I am a lot less rigorous with finding out the entire synopsis of fantasy books before I purchase them. I'm usually quite happy to be taken on any kind of wild fantasy ride, and when people that I love a fantasy book, I'm often quite happy just to be sold by their love for it. So let's find out about this one together. Prince Ren, the heir to Emberfall, is cursed. Well, that's unfortunate. Forced to repeat the autumn of his 18th year over and over, that is deeply unfortunate. He can only be freed if a girl truly falls for him, and after so many failures, his kingdom and its people are barely holding on. Harper's life has never been easy. She's learned to be tough enough to survive the streets of Washington, D.C. When she is sucked into Ren's world, ooh, portal fantasy! When she is sucked into Ren's world, nothing is as it seems. Powerful forces are standing against Emberfall, and it will take more than a broken curse to save it from utter ruin. Well, I am here for that. Also, look at the spine, it's hollow. Okay, the next prompt up is a trope that you love. I was kind of hoping this one would come up for fantasy because I thought it would be really easy to find, but let's see which genre we get. We have got number 5. Number 5 is middle grade, and I'm fairly sure it's going to be easy enough to find plenty tropes in middle grade for me to sink my teeth into. For some reason I was really comforted by the idea of middle grade in 2020, but as with everything else, I didn't actually end up picking up as much of it as I really wanted to, so I ended up buying a lot and I have a bit of a surplus. And pretty much all of it's on my floor or in the hall, so BRB again. If I'm a little bit out of breath, it's because I just had to climb under my entire lighting rig to go and get this book. So the book that I've decided on is Tilly and the Book Wanderers by Anna James. This is the first book in Anna James's middle grade series, Pages & Co. And Pages & Co. is a bookshop. So the trope that I have picked for this one is books within books. Not only are there a few specific books that Tilly reads in this, but there is also an entire bookshop, and I love that. I love when books exist for characters. I also love it when authors talk about books that exist within their worlds and then bring them out separately. I just think that's really clever. So in this one, Tilly Pages lives above her grandparents' bookshops, one of her favourite places in the world, but it's also the only place that she belongs now that her mother has disappeared. One very rainy day, Tilly decides that she's going to disappear into the pages of a book, and that is quite literally what happens when some of her favourite characters walk through the door of the shop and she follows them back into their bookish worlds. She then discovers that she can go book wandering. She can walk through some of her very favourite books. And in these books, she hopes to uncover the mystery of what happened to her mother. The trope of being able to walk into books and actually interact with characters from books is also a thing that I really love. So I guess this ticks 2 boxes. Okay, so the next prompt that we've got here is a series that you love, which is going to be a little bit difficult because the last 2 genres that we have got here are thriller and horror, and in neither of those do I tend to follow actual series. So who knows what we're going to end up with for this one. Are we ready? We got number 3. So number 3 is horror, and I genuinely don't know how many horror series I've got on my shelves. Let's go and look. Okay, we've got to my first genuinely difficult decision because I have actually got 4 books here in horror series. I did not realise that I had so many horror series on my shelves. So the first possibility that I've got is The Dead, which is the follow-up to The Enemy, which is a completed young adult series about a very odd form of zombie apocalypse that takes over London. I read the first book in 2020, weirdly, given that it was, you know, apocalypse, zombies, pandemic, not necessarily the best topic. But I really ended up loving it, so this one is a distinct possibility. The next one that I've got is Small Spaces by Katherine Arden, and I feel like this is the start of a series. I might be lying, I'm gonna look it up. Oh no, it is, it really is. It's the start of like quite a long series by the sounds of it. However, all of my stack so far is middle grade or young adult. But then again, that's not really going to be helped by Dread Nation by Justina Ireland, which is a book that the lovely Jean sent to me in our Another Booktuber Picks My Book Haul swap. And also, I'm not gonna lie, I kind of want to vlog reading the 3 books that Jean sent me for that to see how well she got my taste. So I think I might put this one aside. Besides, I'm not sure if this is a series or a duology. So that leaves me with the one that I think I'm inclined to pick, and that is The Strange Case of the Alchemist's Daughter. Now this one has been shelved as both adult and YA on Goodreads, so I'm not sure exactly which one it would fall into the most, because I know that it follows a teenage protagonist, but that doesn't necessarily mean it's a YA book. This book is a really fun kind of retelling with many twists in it. It takes some very, very classic horror novels like Frankenstein and Dracula, and it turns them on their head by introducing us to the daughters of these very famous horror characters. This book is about Mary Jekyll. She is alone and penniless after her father's death, but she hears that there is a reward, a bounty if you will, out for Edward Hyde, her father's former friend and murderer, and she decides that finding him would, you know, fix a lot of things, money and also revenge. But in searching him out, she doesn't actually find Edward Hyde, she instead finds Diana, who tells her all about a group of girls who are essentially the cast-off daughters of these characters. Mary finds herself in an entirely new world where she realises that all of these daughters have been created by terrifying experiments, and she enlists the help of a famous detective and his best friend to help her find their origins and put to right all of the wrongs in their past. I am super pumped for this one, in case you can't tell by the look on my face. It's just so very up my alley. It's the type of retelling that I really, really like, and so yes, I'm very happy that it has ended up on this list. So now we find ourselves in a bit of a weird place, because the last genre that I have is thriller, and the prompt that I have is a thriller with a beautiful spine. Usually I find that thriller spines are either psychedelic colours with block printed writing, or they're like dark and murky and just not very inviting. So let's see what I've got, I guess. And the kittens are now fighting for a position in the bed, so that's gonna work out well for me. Okay, I've ended up with a bit of a weird one. This is not really one that I would have expected when I thought about a spine that I loved, but I kept coming back to it. I kept like moving on to other like really decorative spines, because it turns out actually I have quite a few of those. I don't know if that's just my good taste or like the diversity of the thrillers that I read, because there were quite a few in there that were set in like the 20s and things, and those had like really art deco spines. And this one in comparison is really simple, but I kind of love it anyway. This is Dragonfish by Vu Tran, and it's been on my shelves for quite a few years now, and I don't know why I've never thought to pick it up. This is like a noir thriller, and it's set in Vegas, so it's very along the lines of like Raymond Chandler, which you know that I absolutely love. This is about Robert, who is a cop. He is estranged from his ex-wife Susie. Their marriage just really did not work out. It crashed and burned, and he has spent quite a long time trying to come to terms with that. Then one day someone tells Robert that Susie has gone missing, and he ends up getting plunged into a world that he never expected, because Susie has apparently been spending time gambling a lot, and not gambling in casinos but gambling in undercover gambling dens. But as Robert follows Susie's trail, he discovers that maybe he doesn't know her at all, because she has been harbouring secrets that go all the way back to her past in Saigon. I've never really heard anybody talk about this book, so I'm interested to see what I find. So that's it guys, here is our completed board filled with all of our picks for all of our different prompts. I'm very excited for it, considering that it's things that we love in Love Month. And as as always, with this TBR, we are going to be playing Stack It. So again, if you're new here, Stack It is a game that I've been playing for a few years now, and it's where I pull my TBR off of my shelves, and in whatever order it comes out, that is the order that I have to read it in. And if I come to a book and I don't feel like that book, or I want to skip it, then I have to unhaul it, because chances are, if I'm not interested in it now, I'm never going to be interested in it. January was really interesting because it was the first month that I've only played Stack It with the books that I've picked for the readathon, so just 5 books, and it was great because I got to read my books and then I got to mood read for the rest of the month. So it was the best of both worlds. And speaking of reading for the rest of the month, I have a few other books that are on my plate. The first one, not for my year of readathons for February, is going to be Chilling Effect. And that is because I am embarking on a new project. A couple of weeks ago, my lovely friend Jean from Jean's Bookish Thoughts sent me a picture of her sci-fi and fantasy shelves with just many sad faces after it. All of the sad emojis. Because although Jean has a massive sci-fi and fantasy collection, she just wasn't getting through them. She wasn't motivated to pick them up. And we discovered that we have a lot of the same unread books on our shelves. So we've decided to do a little buddy reading club between the two of us. Every month we are going to pick up one of the mutual unread books on our sci-fi and fantasy shelves. For this month, it's going to be Chilling Effect, and we are going to read it together and have a good old time. And then after every 3 books that we read, we're going to have a live show, and we're going to tell you guys about what we thought about the books that we read. And obviously I will let you know every month what the books are so that you can join in reading them with us if you would like. Now usually I would have a great big list of other books that I want to get finished for the month. Usually I would have at least another 2 or 3 picks. But this month there's also a special project going on. All the things are going on. The announcement for this special project is going to go up at the start of February. I am doing a wonderful collab with one of my favourite people in the world. Thought it was about time that we were horrible to each other on actual camera instead of just on WhatsApp. So I have another 3 books that I can't tell you about that are going to be on my TBR for February. So I've decided that I'm just going to leave it at that, and anything else that I manage to get in is just going to be gravy. We're trying to be nice to ourselves in 2021, guys. Let's not overcomplicate things. However, if I do manage to get to any other books, I'm also going to try to do 1 reread and 1 book off of my Kindle, because those are the 2 other things that I'm trying to work on 2021. I'm trying to do a reread a month because realistically I haven't been doing enough rereads. I absolutely love rereading my favourite books. I do not understand you people who just read a book once and that's it, you're done. And also I'm trying to get the unread books on my Kindle to come down by a lot. But if I do pick up anything else, you will find out about it in my February tops and bottoms. So that's it, guys. I hope you enjoyed the prompt for February's Year of Readathons. If you are going to join in, please tag me on social media so that I can have deep glee watching you all having fun filling the prompts out. As always, there are Instagram and Twitter social media templates down below in the links if you would like them. Please let me know if you have read any of the books that are on this list. Are any of them your favourites? Are you salty about any of the ones that I didn't pick that you can see behind me on the shelves? And of course, if you didn't like any of the books, feel free to tell me that too, because we like opinions here. If you enjoyed this video, please consider liking and giving it a thumbs up, which helps so very much. And if you would like more of my foolishness in your feed, then please don't forget to subscribe and hit the little bell icon so that you can see when I appear like a little dinosaur covered fairy to give you bookish joy. And I will speak to you guys very soon. Goodbye! I am literally not putting any of these back because what's the point? It's just a really convenient excuse. It's a very, very convenient excuse.